welcome back to the Real Estate Huddle. We are on episode 76, and today we're going to talk about something that's been shaping the real estate market here, the impact of remote work in the Denver metro area. So, maybe you're someone who works from home or has transitioned into working from home from a corporate job. And so we're going to talk about how that's affected real estate sales, trends in homes, that sort of a thing, and to give you a good idea of, what implications that's had. So we'll kick it off here. I've definitely noticed a couple things as we've been meeting with buyers. Since 2020, we've seen a lot of people that want more office space or an extra bedroom in their house, right? And it makes sense because if two people, so let's say you've got young professionals and you've got two of them at home, then one wants one space and then the other one wants another space, and they don't want to hear each other because their calls are loud, or this person laughs with his buddies when he's talking to them or whatever. And so it's like you got to have some kind of soundproof. So maybe a bedroom in the basement and then a bedroom up, or a main floor office and then a bedroom up. But that tends to be like the bones that we're seeing is really helpful and useful for people.
I've actually seen, speaking of basements, I've seen an uptick in people who are wanting finished basements and not having to do it themselves. Firstly, because they can put extra bedroom or office or, whatever in there. And then as well as it's a separate space that you can get away from the noise.
Yeah.
So the finished basements are actually, whereas a couple years ago it was no, I don't mind an unfinished basement because we can finish it however we want, or it's a storage space or whatever, whatever the reason being, to, finished basement would be a big deal because that's just more livable space for them, which everybody is needing right now, especially with the remote workers.
Do you think that's from the affordability aspect and not having the capital to be able to do it?
I think, me personally, it's probably a bit of both, but I think the remote work, the COVID thing really put into perspective how much livable space people needed. Yep. I think the basement is a big one. Yeah. It's a lot of livable space that isn't finished if it hasn't been finished yet. So
I agree. No, I think that's a good point. And I think also I'm seeing, because our market's gone up in price so much over the last 15 years, and now we're at a price point, an average price of $780,000 roughly. Mm-hmm. That has made it so people that want to work from home and don't have to go into the office anymore, they move to other less expensive locations, right? So we have seen a ton of people sell their home here in Denver and move to Texas, move to the Carolinas, move to even Midwest locations. We just had one move to Missouri, and they're moving back sometimes to be closer to family, but sometimes it's just purely a cost savings thing, so that they can work from home and continue that lifestyle because they've grown to like it, and I think maybe you've seen families have been more tight knit, if they've got kids, they feel like that's just better overall to spend more time together in some cases. I don't relate to that because I like getting out and getting focused in the office and then coming home and being with my family. But I think for some people that's the case. They've kind of bonded and realized they can make it work. So if you have the proper spacing in your house, and in some areas in Texas and the Carolinas, you can buy a huge house that has a lot of space where you can really space things out in those homes for, less than what you would spend here on a 1,500 square foot townhome. So I think that's an element of it too.
I'm going to have to not finish this without telling a story about when the kids came home for COVID, but soon. But I think what I'm seeing more is that folks are saying, I've got equity, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to go elsewhere. That's more of what I've seen. Mm-hmm. Or the younger working folks who need an extra bedroom. In my case, it's usually they need a third bedroom, so they have a dedicated office, so they, one or both work from home.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever hear about people wanting to work on the deck, on their patio, during the summer? Remote work isn't just all in the office, right? So I think there's a lot of, I've been getting a lot of people, especially recently, with a couple of my buddies that do sales. They're looking at houses and they want the office space, right? But then when they go into the backyard, it's it doesn't have a really nice deck, or it doesn't have some of these outdoor spaces that my kids would want, or
the cover,
especially and pergola or a rooftop deck or whatever. And that's multiple reasons, but working remote from home, I think a lot of it comes to there's privacy needed and there's quietness that's needed. So like putting the kids in the backyard with a good play set or a large backyard where they can run around and make themselves tired, like, is an important part of it as well. If there's a small yard, most of the time they're like, yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, interesting.
Even if there is big office space.
Well,
right?
Denver remote work, like
With
the sunshine
kids.
factor too, right? With how nice it is, like even during the winter months, like there's some good, times to be outside with a little shade cover and stuff. And it makes more sense than in some other markets where it's just icy and frigid and cold.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Let me launch into the story. You were working in an office when COVID hit.
Yep.
So I was working, my wife's always worked from home, one kid home from college, one working from home in high school. So we tried to all find a corner. The old man ended up at the kitchen table. And if you ask my family, I was going through a negotiation with like a renewal on this software deal. This is before real estate, obviously. And it got a little heated, and I'm in the middle of the house, just emanating like out the windows, everywhere. So they'd come and wave at me, and then ever since, I've been in the basement.
They kicked you downstairs.
Even vanished.
But the other thing with COVID, the work from home, you knew of your colleagues that you spent a lot of time with. You knew they had 2 or 3 locations, and here in Colorado, a lot of them had that outside. You could tell when they were on the deck because it was 70 degrees out there.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's funny. Well, still in our country, 28% of people work remotely, and that's down a little bit since the pandemic, but it's still pretty
what
high.
is it up to since before the pandemic? Do you have the pre?
Oh no, I don't.
Because
have
it
that
had to have
number.
been like 15, and then it was
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure
it
it was
spiked
really
up.
low.
Well, now we have like hybrids too. So
Yeah.
like you got some like half home, half office type deal.
Yep.
And so like the proximity to, or like the commute is a big deal for some of them as well. So like see a lot.
And that's a good balance. So if you like the being in office, but then you can go home and be more productive and kind of get the deep focus and be able to do
I'm
that.
definitely less productive when I go home.
Well, and
Yeah.
when we talk about
kids.
like other housing preferences, for remote work, like for me, it seems like it's more upgrades. Like people want, if they're going to be in their home for 8 hours during the day that
want
they
the
wouldn't
best.
be normally, then they want to like have the eye candy looking around, and seeing more updates there in the home. So I think people have done more work on their homes than ever before these last few years. And I think that's slowed down a little bit due to affordability, but contractors were so busy during the like just after the pandemic, especially when that was going on and money was pretty easy to borrow still. So I think that like the updates is a big thing. That's a shift too nowadays.
So another context. So my prior career, I was at Angie. So it was homeowners coming to say, I want to do this project, connect the dots. The second half of COVID was the busiest we've ever been for exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
I'm here all the time. All I can do is notice that crack there, the color, et cetera, and it led to a huge amount of investment in the home.
Well,
Yeah.
and the
to
other
make it worthwhile of you being there.
The other part is
16
the
hours a day.
convenience. So you got the convenience, right? So most people like, oh, I got a dentist appointment. I'll be gone tomorrow. Like that type of stuff. Well, I'm working from home. I can just take a break and go deal with the contractor. There's no commute involved. It's very convenient to be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can see that. I was one of those, and it was incredibly convenient. So
Yeah, for sure. I think another housing preference for remote workers is like they want something nearby that they can like escape to, like whether that's a little pond that you can walk around or a park or
Parks, yep.
take the kids to the park. Because if you're working and sitting from at home, you get cabin fever during the day, and you want to be able to just get outside, get some sunshine, and have something close to your home. So even if you're moving markets, right, and changing to a different location, you want to have something that's like worth walking by.
Right.
Nearby in your neighborhood. So I think the community amenities for some people have gone up. Those are stocks going up on those.
Yeah.
Stocks going up on less expensive locations like it never has before, and stocks going up on multiple bedrooms or multiple office spaces. And the landscaping, the patio, like you said, I think that's all big parts of it.
Yeah. You're half home, half office, so you got to make it pretty pretty nice.
Yeah. So
to
instead
do
of
that
having
all the time.
yeah, because most people have that commute to kind of decompress from the
Yeah.
work life to the home life. So that's where it's important to be able to have those amenities close by to be able to go out and, decompress somehow and kind of get away from it. So, because that was one thing that was an adjustment for me is you got 20 years, more than that, in a facility where I'm working to being able to do my work from home. I never got a break. I was always like on call and I didn't know how to adjust to that. So
That's why productivity was through the roof for the first, year of so many people working from home.
Yeah.
yep, because they didn't know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't, yeah. Then the dog walks. I'd like to know how many new dogs there were.
The shelters were empty. You couldn't find any of them.
That's
So,
what we
yep.
do to compress. We would go out every morning, every afternoon for
Yep.
20 minutes. Let's walk.
Oh man, it was such an interesting time. Changed a lot on the real estate side of things for sure, in a good way. I mean, it's definitely it boosted the market quite a bit. And I think that's what we saw when people were moving so much because of the demand that was needed for office space and more space for the kids because they were at home all the time. We saw property values increase because of that. Yeah, just because of the demand, right?
Talk about it from a listing perspective. You do more listings than the rest of us. But it probably makes the conversations of the work you need to do to be most presentable because it's not just your competition for the home, and oftentimes it's where you're going to live and work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like staging has become more important than ever, like with additional office spaces, like showcasing that there's a place to work here,
It's true.
that sort of thing. So we've focused more on that, focused more on updating homes before we list them, if the sellers are on board with that, because, with more people working from home, they want those updates like we talked about. But yeah, the landscaping, the making sure that you've got a nice setting in your backyard. I think all those things really matter when you're listing and selling a home for sure. So, and going back to where like I was saying, stocks going up on these types of things, it's time to, if you're thinking about investing in real estate, those are the types of properties you want to buy. Yeah. Something that's updated, something that's maybe in a market where it's a little more affordable too. That has a park nearby, that's got amenities. Like those are great investments right now that will probably continue to go up in value, especially when they have 3, 4, 5 bedrooms or a couple office spaces in there. That's just another thing to think about when you're investing in real estate now. So I think that's the big takeaway. So hopefully this has been good. You've gotten something out of this. You've been able to understand, why the market's driving in certain directions as far as remote work goes here in Denver, and understanding the housing preferences that are happening due to work at home, and we've had some interesting changes. So if you are in a situation where you're trying to work from home and your kids are too loud, or you don't have enough space, or your spouse is way too loud on the phone or with their music or TV or whatever it may be, we're here to help you. We are the Dreamsmith team. We're licensed realtors here in the Denver metro area. So be happy to get your home sold so that you can move on to a less expensive market, or maybe in some cases you just want to change your floor plan and get into a more fitting space for a work at home environment if that's where you're at now in life. So we're here to help you with that. All of our information is right here. So feel free to reach out and contact us, and remember to subscribe so you can hear more podcast sessions like this. Thanks for listening.